Here you see a nice picture of a very important guy. He was the candidate for the 2008 presidential elections in the USA. Does Islamofascism exist? In order to answer that, let me tell you a bit more about this person. He says politics are totally directed by worldview. That's why when people say we ought to separate politics from religion, I say to separate the two is absolutely impossible. And he said that just 10 years ago. So this is not a medieval person. This is a guy who just recently went for the office of the most powerful person in the world, the President of the United States. He was the governor of a very important state in the United States. And you will see in the next sheet, this man is quite dangerous. But in this quote, you will see a few things. This man does contradict the statements made by the founding fathers of the United States, who said that there should be a separation of politics, state, and religion. This man says it is impossible, absolutely impossible to separate the two. So, according to him, the USA should be Christian. And what kind of Christian? It should be Southern Baptist, most likely. He was a minister of the Southern Baptist denomination for 12 years. And the danger of this person, of course he's now out of the race. It's March the 30th today, 2008, and he left the race a month ago. But this man was powerful for years. He will be powerful still. He went for the office of the United States President. This man wants Christianity to be the ruling religion in the United States, the most powerful economy and military power in the world. What he says about Islamofascism, which exists according to him, is the following. Islamofascism must disappear from the face of the earth. He goes on to say that this is not a war for soil. This is a war for a soul. We will either win it or we will lose it. This nation must rally to the point where we recognize there is no compromise. We must win, they must lose. Islamofascism must disappear from the face of the earth, or we, and with we he means maybe the Americans, maybe he means, or he refers to Christians. He says they will disappear otherwise if they don't fight Islamofascism. Now the question is, does Islamofascism exist? I just said Islamophobia exists, anti-islamism exists. So do I say, or do I admit that Islamofascism exists? Well, it would be very easy to say yes, but it doesn't. Islamofascism doesn't exist because of these points that you see on the presentation now. There is no political or clerical leadership that promotes Islamofascism. Of course, you may argue Osama bin Laden does, but of course that's just stupidity. Osama bin Laden may be a cowboy hero for some Muslims, but not for the entire 1 billion. Maybe for just a few thousand, maybe 10,000. But he doesn't represent Islam. On the other hand, fascism is a complete political ideology. And usually it has one particular clerical or political leader. So when Geert Wilders, the Dutch politician here, says Islamofascism exists and Islam is a fascist ideology and the Quran is Islam is in a fascist book, he should understand that he is accusing an entire ideology, an entire people, an entire religion as something that he is not allowed and should not be allowed to do. For example, take the real founder of fascism, Benito Mussolini, the Italian leader in the 1930s. Very good friends after a while with Adolf Hitler, who founded the German kind of fascism, which we know now here in Holland very well as German Nazism. You had Spanish fascism by Franco. Those were leaders that we remember still to this day here in Europe, especially in Europe. Other ideologies that can be seen as a totalitarian issue is, for example, communism, which had one particular founding father, believed to be Karl Marx. Stalinism, of course, had Joseph Stalin, where they got the name from. The other name is Maoism, Mao Zedong. Now, there is no Osama bin Ladenism or Saddam Husseinism, right? Islamofascism doesn't exist. There are just a few lunatics who come over and do crazy things, or who preach violent things, and who incite some people, but that exists everywhere. Up to India, up to America, you name it. You cannot brand these people then as fascist, or you cannot brand their ideology as fascism. So, if there is no Osama bin Ladenism or Saddam Husseinism, what about Mohammedanism?